Okay. So today we are going to talk about data types, and as you guys have already studied them in your theory class, so we would perform lab tasks related to variables and data types. So first of all, from your previous knowledge, remember that the words written in blue should always be present in a program. What are the words that are written in blue? Hash include stream, using namespace std, int main, opening brace, return 0, and closing brace. These are the statements or instructions that will always be present, and you always have to write them in a program. Okay. Uh, any question? I don't know what was it. Okay. So again, I know that you guys have studied about it. Let's just go through them. Data types means that the types of data that we work in C++. So C++ has three data types: simple data types, structured data type, and pointers. Would learn pointers after midterm exam. So in simple data types, we have integer data types, the data type which do not have a decimal in it. Then floating point, the data type that has decimal in it, and enumeration type. This is the data type that you would make yourself. It can be floating, integer, or character. You would do it yourself. I think in the last week of midterm or after midterm. Okay. Similarly, if you look at the range of integer, uh, this is the range of integer. So you can have such a huge number in integer type of data. These are the keywords. Bool is also a type of data, but you can only save true or false in this data type. We rarely use bold data type. And character is a data type in which you can save characters like A, B, C, capital A. It is case sensitive. So small a and capital A are not the same. Similarly, like %, dollar sign, you can save all of them here. Okay, so if you look at -988, 087, these are actually integer data type examples. And of course, it does not use a plus sign with 87. So if you look at 87, you know that it is actually plus 87, but with minus, it does use the minus sign. Similarly, we say that the bold data type can only have two reserved words, true and false. We usually use this data type in when we are using Boolean expressions, and gate and NAND gate. But right now we are not using it, so just leave it. Similarly, character data type is the smallest data type, the smallest variable, and you can store capital A, small a. But remember, the method of storing in integer and character is different. In integer type, you just write is int a is equal to 10 or int a is equal to 20. But in character data type, you write correct a is equal to, and then the value must be written in single quotations. We will do it now so you would understand what we are talking about. Similarly, floating data type has this range. The range is given in actually hexadecimal systems. And float has, I think, up to five precision points. Up to five precision point means 17.34235, up to 5 points. Double is also for floating, but double has up to twice precision points. For example, you can store a number 17 point up to 5 points in float, but in double you can save up to 10 decimal points in double data type. So of course it has twice the memory size of a float, because even the name says double, so it is double the float size. Similarly, you can also use another data type that is called long double. So it is more larger than double, but in some compilers long double and double are the same. So double is only used where we need a very high precision. For example, we need 1.7234578, like up to 10 or 20 decimal digits. So there we use double data types. Similarly, if we want to do addition in C++, we use plus. For subtraction, minus. For multiplication, star. Steric, we usually call it asterisk. For division, we use slash, and modulus is the percentage sign. It is above the digit 5 in your keyboard. Okay. Okay. We use this, the percentage sign, we use this for the remainder operator. This is called the modulus operator. For remainder, that means that, for example, you are dividing something. Let's say 4 divided by 2. So when you divide 4 by 2, you say 2 is equal to 4, and what is the remainder? 0.
0,
So 4 modulus 2 is equal to 0, because
0,
4 modulus 2 will give you the remainder. Similarly, if you divide 3 by 2, then what is the remainder? 1.
1,
Then 3 modulus 2 is 1. So the modulus is only giving you the remainder, but remember one thing: this modulus operator be is going to prove himself in the upcoming labs, and it is a very useful matlab operator. You would see its uses. Uh, this modulus operator is a very good operator. I mean, right now it just sounds like a division or subtraction operator, but this modulus has very much properties. We would see them. But of course, the only thing it does is that it gives you the remainder. But because of that property of the modulus operator, we are going to use it in many applications. Okay, another thing is that you cannot use a modulus operator in floating points. Any integer, any data type that has a floating value, it cannot be used in the modulus operator. So modulus operator only works with integer data types. Remember this. You can use division with a floating point, but you cannot use modulus with floating point. Similarly, we have two type of operator: unary operator and binary operator. Now all these operators are actually binary operators. Why? Because they require two values. For example, for addition, at least you add two values. For subtraction, you need two values. For multiplication, two. For division, two. For remainder, two. But there are some operators that only need one value. They are called unary operator. So we would look at unary operator in the end of this lab. Okay. Now, before going to the modulus operator, uh, we did miss our labs in the previous class because of not having the knowledge of variables. So let's complete those labs. Okay. If you look at lab number 2, it was write a program to find the sum of two integer numbers. Okay, let's save it. Okay. I think I have saved it. Okay. Remember, I'm writing the commands which are in blue. It means we have to write them always. Okay, so how do we declare a variable? Int a. Now, you give it a value or you don't give it a value. Let's give it a value. Int a is equal to 10. So what am I doing here? In this one line, I'm declaring a variable a. That means I'm allocating a space in the memory, or I'm asking the compiler to give me a space in the memory of, I think, 4 bytes, and the name of that space is a. That name is my choice, whatever I want to give it, and uh, that space can only store integer data type. I mean, it cannot store float data type. And in the same line, I am assigning the value of 10 to that place a. You can also assign it later on. For example, you can also say int a semicolon, and then you can say a is equal to 10. Now remember, the assignment is always from right to left. What does that mean? The right value goes to the left. That is the rule of assignment. So that means 10 goes to A. And you remember this throughout your entire course. This is very important. 10 goes to A. It means put the value of 10 in A. Okay. Now let's declare another variable. Just write comma here. Now we have two variables, A, B. Okay, let's assign the value 20 into B. It means put 20 in B. Just this, just display the sum. Now what we are doing, we have declared two variables, then we have assigned them values, and now we are displaying their sum. Build the program, there are no errors, and then run it. So the sum is 30. And again, as you remember, we can also write a program in which we ask the user to give us numbers. How? That is very easy. Ask the user, enter two numbers, semicolon. Okay. Now remember, how are you going to tell the compiler that take two numbers from the user? The compiler doesn't know what have you written in the statement, but this statement would make the compiler know, which I'm going to write now, that you have to take two numbers. How? You have to write the C in
C,
statement. But in C, and rather
C.
than writing A, you are going to write A and then again B, semicolon. Okay. So when you write two, okay, now I have asked the user for two numbers. Let's say, but I am telling the compiler to write three. Okay, so it is going to give you a leave it. So now by writing C in A and B, now the compiler will know that you are actually asking for two numbers. Otherwise, if you only write A, then the compiler does not ask twice. And now, semicolon. Fill and run again. Okay, enter two numbers, 3. Now it is again asking, it is waiting there, so you have to enter another number, let's say 4. So the sum of 3 and 4 is 7. The sum is 7. Okay, this line, the sum is 7. So what have you guys done? You just made a calculator that is actually giving you the summation. Now look at our lab number 3. It says write a program that takes two integers. Now you already write a program that is taking two integers from the user. Display their sum. You did this. But along with displaying their sum, you have to display their subtraction, multiplication, and division. Just add the subtraction is a minus b or b minus a. It depends upon you. Sorry. A divided by b or b divided by a. In the upcoming labs, you will, when you have done switch statement, then we would write the same program, but in that program, we will also ask the user that what do they want. I mean, they want the numbers to be divided, to be subtracted. Here, they haven't asked us for anything, but we are giving them all of them, all of the calculations. Okay, and the okay sum. Okay, the multiplication a into b. Let's again build and run it. Enter two numbers. Let's say 4 and 2. Now see, the sum is 6. The subtraction is 2 because 4 minus 2 is equal to 2. The division is 2. 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2. The multiplication is 8. Okay, that's what it is. Now, another thing, if for example, the You will see.
एक्सक्यूज मैम,
Yes, yes.
मैम इसे सब्ट्रैक्शन से माइनस आ सकता है, -2, अगर पहले
Let's
हम
see.
2
Yes,
को पुट कर
yes,
दें?
yes. Okay, let's see. I have entered 2. First number is 2 and the second number is 4. So it will give us a minus 2. See? The subtraction is minus 2. But look at the division. The division is 0. Why? Because if you are dividing 2 by 4, it requires a point value. So 4 is the one that has to divide 2. So you cannot divide 2 by 4 without giving it a point. So first you have to put a point, then you have to put 0 inside 2. That's how you divide. But you cannot do that. So it is directly giving you 0. Why? Because you need a point in order to further progress in the division of 2 by 4. Remember, a smaller number, whenever is divided by a larger number, it is going to give you 0 because we are using integer data types and there is no chance for point. So that is why it is going to give you 0. That means no further process. But let's say we are dividing 3 by 2. So you can see 3 is not fully divided by 2 without a point. Two ones are 2, one will be remaining. Then what you do that you put point and then 0, then 2 fives are 10. So it is 1.5. But rather than giving you 1.5, your compiler is going to give you 1. Let's see, 2 divided by 3. So let's say the first number is, sorry, 3 divided by 2. So let's say the first number is 3 and the second number is 2. So see, the division is 1. Why is the division 1? Because I told you that it is only going to up to the point where decimal is not there. The moment we need the decimal, the division stops. It does not deal with floating points. At this point, if you make a and b float, then it will. Let's see it. It's okay. 3, 2. The division is 1.5. You can see it. Okay. So now it is going up to 5. So the division when we are working with integer type will not include a point in it. Okay.
तो मैम जब कोई इन सब मतलब पॉइंट में आता है तो उसके लिए फिर फ्लोट लिखना होगा?
हाँ, अगर आपके पास डिवीजन ऐसी है जिसमें आपको पता है कि इसमें पॉइंट आएंगे तो फिर आप फ्लोट यूज करें.
थैंक यू मैम।
और मैम एट अ टाइम तो दोनों भी यूज कर सकते हैं ना, फ्लोट और इंटीजर दोनों?
अच्छा, अगर आप मेरा मशवरा ले तो मैं कहूँगी कि फ्लोट इंटीजर से ज़्यादा अच्छे. क्यों? हाँ, एट अ टाइम दोनों भी यूज़ कर सकते हैं. तो अगर आप दोनों यूज़ करेंगे तो फिर आपका जो डिवीजन है वो सिर्फ वो आपको फिर फ्लोट देगा. अगर आपने इंटीजर और फ्लोट किया, वो इंटीजर को फ्लोट में कन्वर्ट कर देगा. But remember, if you're using float, you can have both data types. I mean, float has integer as well as point. So that is the quality of float. It gives you both of it. I mean, ये तो ऐसा नहीं that it is only giving you 0.5. It is giving you the whole value 1.5. So remember, in division, always use a float. Even in, for example, if you look at this program, let's say I entered 2 and then 4. See, now the division is 0.5 and it is doing all the other operations the same way. 2 into 4, 2 plus 4, 2 minus 4. I mean, there is no problem. The only problem was in the division, which the floating point has solved for us. In the upcoming labs, you would see that we use float and double more than integer. Integer is only used as a counter in the last labs because of its restrictions that we cannot use a floating. I mean, we cannot use a decimal number. So that's why we require a float and double. Okay. Now the last lab task 3. No, sorry, lab task 4. This is very easy. It says write a program that swaps two variables. What does that mean? That means that you enter a value a. Okay, let's say int a b. You ask the user to enter two values. See, okay, so what has happened here? The user has entered two values. One of them has been stored in A and the other has been stored in B. Okay. The reason that I have wrote them separately is because in the first statement it will be say enter A and then enter B. So that's why I have written it in separate statements. So when the user enters two values, one goes to A, the other goes to B. Now I want you to switch the values. For example, I will comment here. Let's say the user entered 20 in A and that user entered 40 in B. Now the swapping means that A should have 40 and B should have 20. Swap their values. Put the value of A in B and the value of B in A. And then display A and B. So you would see that the values has been shifted. Okay. But that only requires one smaller portion. A student was asking me yesterday in the class that what does pseudocode mean? Pseudocode means that now you are going to write on paper that how are you going to solve this very small problem. And then when you are putting that small things which you have wrote on the paper, that instructions in the programming language, then that is called the algorithm. So right now there is one only. For example, somebody is going to solve it like A is equal to B and B is equal to A. No, that is going to cause us a problem. Let's see what is the problem. Let's declare another variable. We need this other variable. Why? I am storing the value of A in C. Remember, from right to left. A goes to C, remember. Right goes to left. So that means I am putting the value of A in C. This notation is very important. A goes to C. Why am I storing A in C? You would see now. Now let's put the value of B in A. So B goes to A, remember. What is happening? The value of B is now stored in A. So A was having the value of 20. We override it. When we say A is equal to B, that means now the value of B goes into A. Now if I'm going to write the value of A inside B, B has the value of A now. And inside the variable A, you do not have the value of A. You have the value of B actually. So that is why I stored the value of A in C earlier
C is
in order to store it. Otherwise, it would have been lost in the program. So I have to store the value of A somewhere. Otherwise, this cross shifting is going to make the value of A lost. Now I have to put the value of A in B, but A does not have its value. A's value is stored in C.
C.
So
C. Yes,
what I did,
ma'am.
C is equal to B. Now put the value of C in B. Now let's display both of them. Let's display A and let's display B.
Ma'am, please repeat it again.
Okay. We declared three variables. You are understanding up till this point. We ask the user for the value of A, then we ask the user for the value of B. Okay. A has, let's say 20 and B has, for example, the value of 40. Now the program says swap. Swap means put the value of B in A and the value of A in B. Swap them. But if I just say A is equal to B, B is equal to A, that is incorrect. Why? First, I stored the value of A in another variable, kind of an intermediate variable C. Why? Now I'm assigning the value of B into A. So when I write A is equal to B, that means put the value of B in A. That is what this statement means. So A has the value 20, but when I write this statement, now the variable A gets the value 40. Now I have to put the value of A in B. But if I haven't wrote this statement, C is equal to A, then A does not have its value. A's value has been removed by B. Let me show you it like this. Let's remove this. See? Okay, just write it like this. And you would see that both of them would have the same value of B. Why? Because when I write this statement, B is equal to A, I'm putting the value of B in A. And now I'm putting the value of A in B. Now the value of A is equal to the value of B. Both of them would have the same value C. That's what I'm trying to say. Enter A. Let's say I enter 20 and in B I enter 30. A is 30, B is 30. Both of them have now the value of B. Why? Because I haven't stored A. So in order to what can I say? In order to store the value of A, I need C. What am I doing here? I'm first storing the value of A in another variable. And then I'm putting the value of B in A. Now when the value of B goes to A, I now need the value of A to put in B. But A now has the value of B. So what I have done previously, that I have stored the value of A in another variable C. So now I'm going to say C is equal to B. Put the value of C in B. Why? Because C has the value of A now. A does not have the value of itself. It has lost. A has now the value of B. This is the rule of swapping, remember. No, now you can see that. Now let's run it. Enter A. A is 20, B is 30. A is 30, B is 20. Wait a minute. Let's say A is 10 and B is 40. See, A is 40, B is 10. Otherwise, I say A is and I have displayed A, and B is and I have displayed B, but now B has the value of A and A has the value of B. So this is how swapping occurs. But remember, this program does require a bit of swapping knowledge, which you should have earlier. You would see in the coming labs, in the upcoming labs, that you cannot just perform any lab at that moment of time when we give it to you. There is some knowledge of maths and kind of logics required. Okay. Now let's come to our lab number two's first task. We say write a program that uses the modulus operator. It is quite easy. Let's just use it in the output. C out. P modulus 2. Now what does that mean? Divide 3 by 2. So what is the answer? What should be the answer according to our knowledge? What does
One,
modulus do? It gives 1.
one, one.
It gives, yes, it is going to give us, sorry, I have missed the bracket. 1. See? Okay. Now what should I get? 4 modulus 2.
Zero, zero.
0. Okay. So the modulus 1 is done. Let's go to our next slide. Okay, remember, if you remember your maths, so there is an order of precedence. When you have an entire equation, let's say 2 plus 3 into 5 divided by 6 and so on, you follow an order of precedence. Similarly, C++ also has an order of precedence. So the first or the highest precedence is given to small brackets. Whatever is points are written inside the small brackets would be evaluated first. After that, multiplication, division, and modulus gets the highest priority. But if they all are written, I mean they all are there, then what should the compiler select first among them? Then it goes from left to right. For example, if multiplication is first, I mean in the left side, then division, then it first do multiplication, then division, then whatever is coming, but their level is the same. Similarly, addition and subtraction comes at the end. We kind of perform from left to right. So these are kind of the way an expression is solved. Let's do an example. Lab task 2 on the order of precedence. You would easily understand what are we talking about. Operator. Okay. I have written it earlier because it just kind of takes a bit more time. Okay. Now look at this lab. What have I done? I have 5 variables. Number 1 is the name of the first variable, then number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. You can give them A, B, C, D, E as well. The first variable has the value 8 plus 17 into 6. So what is going to be stored in number 1? According to our compiler's order of precedence, it will first multiply 17 with 6 because multiplication comes before addition. So 17 into 6 is equal to 102, and then 102 plus 8 is equal to 110. So number 1 should have the value of 110. It will be displayed here. When we say cout, number 1 is equal to, so it should be 110. The second one also has the same value. We are just using the brackets. Again, it will first multiply, even without the brackets, it's going to first multiply 17 into 6. But let's just see. So the second will also has the value of 110. Now, if we look at the third, our value changes. Why? Because I have wrote the bracket earlier. So first, as it will evaluate the brackets first. So first it will add them, and then it will multiply it with 6. So first it is going to add 8 with 17 because of the small bracket, and the precedence of the bracket is higher than any other operator. So first it will add them, and then it will multiply it with 6. So you will get 150. I mean, if you look at the statements, 8 plus 17 into 6, 8 plus 17 into 6. But because of the precedence, you are going to get different answers. Similarly, in the fourth variable, we have 8 plus 3 modulus 2. So what it is going to do? It is first going to find the modulus, which is 1, 3 modulus 2, and then it is going to add it with 8. So you are going to get 9. In the second one, it's first going to add 8 plus 10, which is 18. And then 18 modulus 2, 2 nines are 18. It should be
0.
0.
yes. See, the first is 110, 110, 150, 9 and 0. I hope you guys understand this program. It just looks
Yeah.
like it looks difficult, but it is very easy. And remember, these questions do not come in paper like a question. They come as a MCQ. So, an MCQ is given, what is the output? So you have to revise the knowledge of your precedence. You know that, oh, now if you fed this expression to the compiler, what is the answer? So if you have the knowledge of precedence, that the compiler will first evaluate the brackets and then multiplication, so then you would select the correct answer. So these kind of questions comes in the category of MCQs. Okay,
Okay.
let's go to our next. Okay. Similarly, what we did, these are called expressions. When we say that all the expressions are integer types, then these expressions are called integral expressions. And when all the values are floating point values, then we call them as floating point expressions. And when we have a mixed expression, we can also have both floating point and integer point data, but the integer is then converted into floating point. But we rarely do them. You just need to remember the precedence, but do practice upon mixed expressions. Okay, now let's come to that slide. Okay, okay, yes, Sher Bahadur. It says Sher Bahadur has raised a hand, so that's why I asked you. Okay.
May- he raised a hand for attendance, I think.
Oh,
सब
okay.
रख
Okay.
रहे
Attendance should be
It is
done at
more
the end.
about
Okay. Okay. Now let's look at the last slide. It says increment and decrement operator. If you remember the first, second slide, we say unary operators. I told you that addition requires two operands, multiplication, subtraction, but there is also a process which only require one operand. That is increment and decrement operator. If you look at the name increment operator, it means you increment the variable by one. Increment means addition. Similarly, decrement means okay, give me a second. Give me a second. Okay, sorry for that. Okay, now when we are using increment operator and decrement operator, it means increment means increase the value of variable with one, and decrement means decrease the value of operator with one. Let's see how we are going to use. There are four types. First is called pre-increment. So in pre-increment, you said plus plus variable, and in post-increment, you said variable plus plus. Both of them are actually the same. Similarly, pre-decrement says minus minus variable, and post-decrement says variable minus minus. Let's do it practically so you would know that what are we talking about. Okay, let's say I have a variable int a, and okay, let's give it some value. Let's say 5. Okay, now when I say a plus plus semicolon, this is the increment operator. It means increment the value of a one time. So a will now be 6. Or if I write plus plus a, that also means increment the value of a with 1. What is the difference between both? There is no difference between both of them. But there is the difference only comes when we are C outing it. See how? I'm writing C out. Okay. So according to your knowledge, it should display 6. But it is not going to display 6. It is actually going to display 5. Why? See it. Why it is displaying 5, not 6? Because C++ works from left to right. So it comes across the value of a first and then plus plus after it. So first it is going to display a, which has not become 6 now. But it has become 6 in the program. But it is not displaying it. If you want to check out it, let's again see out it. And you would see that the value of a has actually become 6, but it did not display it. Let's say I'm only displaying the value of a now. I'm not doing any change with it. To see. First it was 5 and then it has become 6. See? So in order to handle this problem, what do we do? Rather than writing a plus plus, I will just write plus plus a for the purpose of displaying. So now it is going to give me 6. Why?
Also
Because the
6.
compiler came across plus plus first and then a after that. This problem only comes with the cout. Without the cout inside the program, it is totally upon you. If you want to write plus plus a or if you want to write a plus plus, doesn't matter. But the trick is only in the cout thing. And I remember this because when we were students, we were asked this question in our Viva voice exam, and we totally lose our marks because we were not aware. We were when the teacher said a plus plus, what is the value, and we said the incremented value, which is actually wrong because it increments after plus plus. Similarly, if you want to no, see inside the program, it will be now 4. See, So inside the program, it doesn't matter if you write the post increment or the pre. Again, you will get 4. But the only problem is in the cout statement. So remember, when you are couting it, you are always going to look at the. Wait, now if I want to cout it, let's say I remove it, and now minus minus. So it is going to display 4. Why? Because the compiler is going to come across the minus minus first and a after that. So it is going to display 4. If I write a minus minus, it will give me 5. Although the value of a has been changed inside the memory, but the display is going to give me 5 because minus minus is coming after a. Remember, the C++ works from top to bottom, left to right. We would see this is a very important point to remember when we go to our lecture, to our topics of functions, and there you would see that how important this is. So it has to come across a first, then it will display a, and then minus minus. Any questions?